welcome to the second ever episode of the Last Resort podcast. What you listen to when the internet has nothing better to offer.
I don't want to waste any time because.
Oh god, yeah, I know. Jeez, this episode.
The ending to it. As all of the way through, I was a bit wavy on it, but then that last bit with the music when she was off the bus and it was silence apart from the music, and
then he waved and she like nodded.
Yeah, that tiny smile.
Such an. I don't know. At the end, I stood up and I said to my dad, "Oh my god, what an episode!"
Yeah, it really. It's one of those ones where it's not about them defeating some evil monster. It's just it's about showing how brilliant history can kind of be.
Yeah, and I love that it was on Earth again, because it's just time traveling. I like it when they do stuff on Earth.
Yeah, I think that they chose a really good historical figure to focus on this series, as they always have they had Dickens and Queen Victoria, and people like that. Vincent van Gogh. I think Rosa Parks was a good choice. A really good choice.
Sorry.
I was like, are you still there?
No, I can't. This episode was so good. I loved it so much. And I do like the fact that there was still kind of someone there to screw things up, even if it was just the way to put it off or whatever, because there needs to be something there. But I'm glad that they didn't make that the big thing. It was just fixing it was the big thing, and Rosa being the main focus of it.
Yeah, and the way that the victory at the end wasn't we defeated a bad guy. It was Rosa's victory that was the victory of the episode, not the victory of the team. And
I think it was very heart-wrenching having to be a part of it.
Yeah, when Graham stood up and those passengers sat down, for a second I thought he was going to have to
I thought he was going to have to be the one
and say, "Can you give me your seats?" And I was thinking, what? But then the horrible bus driver filled that role, so
I'm glad they did that.
Okay. Yeah.
But my favorite... Sorry, go on.
No, you go.
Okay, so my favorite bit was when... Well, it wasn't my favorite bit. One of my favorite bits was when he was at Rosa's house and Martin Luther King was there, and he kept on going, "Oh my God, you're Martin Luther King."
Yeah, Martin freaking Luther King. As I really wasn't expecting him to be in it. I thought it was just Rosa Parks, and then they threw him in, and then that meant that we were just as shocked as he was for him to be there, which is a really clever thing.
I love that.
But, and the way that Ryan was kind of fangirling in front of all of these historical figures, just and his smile when she went, "Do you want to get the tea now? No, the coffee now." He's like, "Yes." Massive grill in this place. I'm going to serve coffee for these amazing people.
I think this is one of my favourite episodes in a long time.
I think it's probably my favourite of this series.
Oh yeah,
it left me in that shaking. Where my microphone just fell off my face, so if the audio went a bit weird, then I apologise. It left on a note that sometimes Doctor Who can achieve, where you walk away and your mind seems to have just changed slightly the way you see things.
I was almost crying at the end as well, because it's such a love it. I love it when episodes do that. I love it. It's just I don't know, man.
Where they touch on a topic and they do it so well.
And they didn't do it distastefully. They did it just right. I think it was really good.
and one thing which a really good function of Doctor Who is to be able to tell really important stories of history, but in an entertaining way people are actually going to watch. So rather than a Rosa Parks film, they can do an episode of Doctor Who where they show the brilliance of her and this event but inside of this show, and it's really good that they use the show for that to, you know, bring forward in time these people of the past.
A good thing is, I bet you that later on in this series we might end up meeting like the racist guy who was sent into like wherever, because the whole thing was like he sent him back as far as he could go, but I have a feeling we might meet him again.
I did kind of think maybe, is there a chance Ryan did it wrong and she only went back 10 years and then this guy is going to come up again and he's been waiting 10 years and he's going to be there like, no, you will not get on this bus, and then that would be a bit cheesy and a bit, you know. But a part of me thought, what are they going to do that? But luckily they didn't. But I'm kind of torn as to whether I like the fact he was there or not, as I almost feel like they could have had it so that they land there by accident, and then even just by that fight thing at the start, that could have been the thing that nudged history wrong, and then they spent the time trying to catch up with themselves. Because I found that the confrontation with him was he just seemed a bit like generic, and they were, we want to tell a Rosa Parks story, and they just saw him. I feel like they could have done, but then he did create a nice insight into some other character, which otherwise we wouldn't see. But
which is what makes me think that maybe we'll see him again, because it wasn't completely necessary to have him there.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to see.
And I like the reference to Storm Cage. As when they said that, I thought, Riverstone, memories.
Oh, you know what would be? It would be insane if there was an episode of Jodie and River's son.
If they met, which I think River's done now.
No, I think she is as well. But I think it would be interesting to see River and Jodie, because I feel like River would be like, okay, cool.
Yeah, definitely. She would just run with it as if nothing had changed.
She'd be like, hello, sweetie.
Yeah. Again, a children in need thing that they could do. They should do that where River meets the 13th Doctor. But they do it in a way where River then forgets she's met the 13th Doctor, so it will, you know. But yeah, that'd be really cool.
I feel like this Doctor Who segment's going to be a lot shorter than the other one.
Yeah, the other one we kind of ran off onto every other series of New Who that we want to talk about.
Have you had any thoughts about segments?
Oh,
your specific segment?
So one thing, so you know that we were going to do the current affairs thing?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I've actually seen an article that I saw
research.
first. Well, more accidental research. So I was browsing through Twitter, as you do.
As you do.
While procrastinating.
I didn't even know you had Twitter, but okay, cool.
That's what I do. And I saw an article, and it was about, and then I saw it again on Reddit, which is what reminded me of it. So it's in my head now. But it's an article about the USA wanting to change gender laws so that gender is now the fixed sex you were born with at birth.
That's very Mike Pence in the ear of Donald Trump there.
Yeah. I was reading it and I was thinking, can they actually do that?
Maybe they're in a TARDIS and they're going back in time. But I hate that.
Yeah.
I just hate everything about the US government at the moment and full stop. Like for a while, for the last 8 years before Trump, it was like hella, because it was Obama was so like Obama was so good, and he like ran through the White House with a pride flag and with his vice president, and then Trump came in, and all of a sudden it was like, oh.
Like, yes, let's
go backwards
over the past few years, just so that the next guy has some more work to do. I'm trying to find it.
I don't know. Can they do
that? I don't know, but I really want to find the exact article. Maybe if I scroll through Twitter, I can do that. But yeah.
While you do that, do you want me to do my conspiracy theory segment?
Yeah,
okay.
Sure.
So, I did some research before we watched Doctor Who, and I was scrolling through a list of them, and I thought this one was very interesting. It's so stupid, but it's interesting. And it's so some people not very many people, but some people think that a lot of ancient sites were built by aliens.
Stonehenge?
Yeah, including Stonehenge.
Yeah.
I'm reading an article by National Geographic.
Cool.
It's called Seven Ancient Sites.
Very
Yes,
educated.
7 ancient sites. I would say some people think were built by aliens. Some of them I don't know what they are or whatever, but this one's I don't know how to pronounce it. Sacsayhuaman.
That sounds like a terrible disease.
Outside, it says out.
I'm very sorry, Miss Jones. You've got saxohuma.
Okay, so it's outside the old Inca capital of Cusco, and it's a fortress. It rests in the Peruvian Andes, and it's built from enormous stones that have been chiseled and stacked together like jigsaw puzzles. It's like perfectly stacked together. And some say it could be the work of ancient civilization that had little help from interstellar friends. This is what the article says. The 1,000-year-old interlocking fortress walls are made of rocks that weigh as much as 360 tons each, and were carried more than 20 miles before lifting and fit into place with laser-like precision, which is like 1,000 years ago they would like not be able to have technology to be able to fit all these together perfectly, and no technology to be able to transport them this far. And so some people have obviously said it.
It must be aliens.
it must be aliens.
Who else could it be?
But apparently, more recently, archaeologists have uncovered traces of the rope and lever system in the Inca used to transport stones from their quarries to the cities. A system that relied on strength and I can't remember the word. Never mind. Rather than alien architects. This one's called the Nazca Lines, which is on a high and dry plateau of some 200 miles southeast of Lima. More than 800 long straight white lines are etched into the Peruvian desert, seemingly at random. Joining them are 300 geometric shapes and 7 figures of animals, including spiders, monkeys, and hummingbirds. And then there's a whole thing about what, how, what, why? Was it aliens? Probably, probably not. Turns out it's, and then it says, turns out it's rather easy to understand the how. These designs are made by removing the top rust-coloured layer of rocks and exposing the brighter white sand underneath. The why.
I think.
Oh God, sorry.
I think it's kind of rude to people of the past to go, you weren't intelligent enough to do
Yeah.
this, it must have been aliens. It's like, give them some credit.
And then some other ones are the Egyptian pyramids, Stonehenge, another one I can't pronounce, Teotihuacan, but it's the meaning of the city of the gods in the ancient city of Mexico.
Well, that wasn't made by aliens, that was made by God. Yeah, fact, proved. Not by science, but proved.
It was built more than 2,000 years ago. The size, the age, and complexity can make it seem otherworldly, but it's very much of the work of humans. This article is very, like, this is really not ancient aliens.
Yeah.
The Easter Island heads, they're all believed, well, they're not believed, but some people believe they were aliens.
Isn't Easter Island the one that looks like a face?
They have like all these big heads that come out the ground.
Oh yeah. Which is I've just searched it and there's a photo of it where they've got the heads and then the ground.
And the body
in
the
ground and
yeah.
there's
I've seen that one.
Which is the one that looks like a skull?
I don't know.
Or was that just like in Scooby-Doo?
I'd probably Scooby-Doo.
Skull Island.
But there's another one is I didn't know about. There's like a face-like thing on Mars. Something that looks a bit like a face. This bit of the article says, if Elon Musk had his way, humans will be capable of visiting the face on Mars sometime in the century. Spotted by the Viking 1 orbiter in 1976, the so-called face is nearly 2 miles, the same, is nearly 2 miles long and is in a region called Cydonia, which separates the smooth plains of Martian north from the more cratered terrain in the south. That one would make more sense if it was aliens, but...
Aliens drew a face on Mars as they got bored.
In 2001, NASA's Mars Global Surveyor took another good look at the face using a much higher resolution camera and saw ... no face. Turns out what had happened to be a face is just another boring old Martian messer, kind of like the landforms that litter the US Southwest, but that doesn't mean it wouldn't be fun to visit. It turns out aliens didn't do any of these, and
Shame.
this is a really patronising article towards the people who think this.
Speaking of
You
articles,
found it.
guess what article I found? I'll read the first two paragraphs because it's very long. It's very, very long.
Okay.
But I'll read the first two. So, Washington. The Trump administration is considering narrowly defining gender as a biological, immutable condition determined by genitalia at birth. The most drastic movement yet in government-wide effort to roll back recognition and protections of transgender people under federal civil rights law. A series of decisions by Obama administration loosened the legal concept of gender in federal programs, including in education and healthcare, recognizing gender largely as an individual's choice and not determined by the sex assigned at birth. The policy prompted fights over bathrooms, dormitories, single-sex programs, and also annoyed a lot of Christians. It doesn't actually say that. That's basically what it says. If you want to read the full article, just
We'll link it.
Where is this? Yeah, it's the New York Times.
We'll link it in the description if you're on whatever you're listening, wherever you're listening, and I'll link the National Geographic article as well.
Cool. Yeah, but basically, like, those first two paragraphs just explain how Obama did this really good stuff and he made it open and, like, yes, we are people, we aren't segregated, and then Trump's like, no.
Yeah, screw you lot.
I need to be segregated. I need categories in life. Why?
You can't start me on Trump. This podcast will be 3 hours long if you start me off on Trump.
3 hours later, after the 36th plan to assassinate Trump.
We need to, at some point in one episode, the whole episode should be dedicated to planning on assassination of Trump. Yeah. Although I think if we do that, we will be arrested, even if it's not real.
I'm very sorry, but this YouTube video has been removed due to conspiracies.
Become our own conspiracy theory.
Actually, we got them anyway.
Become our own conspiracy theory. Start a new podcast and have a whole section on conspiracy theories just about how we became a conspiracy.
Yes. The Last Resort podcast does not exist.
Or does it?
Hallucinating.
Or does it? Also, sorry, going back to Doctor Who, I know we're a bit off topic now. But last week I didn't see the intro because I came down a bit late to watch the episode. Oh, I love the new intro so much. Is it new?
I really like it. Yeah, it's new music. Oh, yeah. Also, I'm feeling really bad now because I've known this guy's name for such. Hang on, Doctor Who. I've known this guy's name off the top of my head for such a long time, and I've completely forgotten it. But So Murray Gold did music for Doctor Who for the whole of New Who, and this series they got a new composer, who I'm frantically. It's someone Akinola, I think. I
have absolutely no idea.
It's like Sagan Akinola is the new composer, and. Before the series started, I was thinking, am I really going to miss Murray Gold? And I do miss Murray Gold because his music, for my entire experience of Doctor Who, has been with his music. But I think that for the first two episodes, the music, it was there and it was good and it set a really good tone. But this episode in particular, I think the music really brought a lot to the episode, and there were points where it was really. I really liked this episode.
Yeah, especially like the last bit where there's no sound; it's just the music. Because you could just tell it was changing history. Yeah. It was.
And then even before that, the bits that he had composed, where there were other things going on, and it's made me confident now that it's going to be really good with him as the composer.
Agreed.
So, but wait, what were you saying before that?
I just that I hadn't seen the intro and I really love it.
Oh, that was the other thing. There were 2 points in my head I wanted to make, and I jumped to the second one. The intro, I really like it, but
it's short compared to like some of the other ones. Like Tennant's opening was like really long.
Yeah. The one thing that kind of is I feel like it's not. As when I see the intro, I wouldn't necessarily pair it to the show. If that makes
agreed, sense. But I still like
it. Yeah. I think it's a brilliant intro, and for Doctor Who, it's really good. But I feel like it's more suited to a different era of Doctor Who. But then I get why they did that, as they wanted to bring the past eras forward. Like it's got a lot of stuff in it.
I feel like Jodie's Doctor isn't as let's go through time and space. It's kind of just like yay. Yay! Everything's new. Let's do some cool things. Fun.
Yes,
let's save the world.
As it's quite like almost. I'm gonna say the word industrial, even though it doesn't sound right. It's kind of like booming, like tearing intro, which is really good. But I feel like Jodie's era is a bit more, especially with like the orange and the natural TARDIS and sonic screwdriver. You just think I don't know. But I do really like it. So, yeah. I kind of jumped on that point really quick as I forgot.
Okay, so what we're going to talk about next?
We're going to talk about stuff.
Oh, so you were was that your Trump thing? Was that the current affairs, or was that your segment?
It wasn't really anything. It was just you said about sections, and then I thought, oh yeah, I remember saying this today, and I thought I must mention that in the podcast. So I mentioned it in the podcast. But segment-wise, I need to do segment stuff.
Have you? Do you?
I need to. I've still not decided. But I know. So okay, next week. Okay, something exciting is happening.
Is it?
Which I'm going to be able to talk about in next week's episode. So, and I'm not telling you what it is, even though I want to, because I want to tell you next week.
This?
No.
I was going to say, what have I forgotten? Are you gonna tell?
A quiz at school.
Are you gonna tell? Are you gonna tell me when to turn the mics off? Or are you gonna tell me next week?
No, I'm not. I'm not. So you will find out before, as you'll see on my Snapchat story.
Oh, okay.
And I might have already told you, but you've probably forgotten.
Probably.
And if I did, I know I've told someone at school, but yeah. So I can talk about that, and then that can kind of fill my segment next week, because I'm really excited about that and all about that. But this week, I'll just say my segment bit was Donald Trump and how he's screwing over gender equality.
I want to know now.
Yeah. You will find out on due course, and it's for me it's crazy exciting, but for you it will probably be that's cool, but that's it.
I'm trying to think what it could possibly be.
It's not like I'm going to Canada.
Oh God! If you went to Canada without me, I'd have a fit.
Next week I record the podcast in Canada.
Oh, I wouldn't do it with you because you'd be in Canada and I wouldn't.
Podcast ends after 2 episodes. Also on Club Penguin, because
we're children.
Epically cool 17-year-olds who play this game. You should change your flag to the Canada one
already.
Because you can buy flags on it.
Yes.
You're one step ahead. Very good. Very, very good. Also, something else I realised, which I thought I'd bring up in the podcast, is actually let me just I am right saying this is we upload these on Wednesdays.
Starting this Wednesday.
Or like we're meant to, or like we will.
Probably.
Yeah. Which day is Halloween on this year?
I saw this earlier today. Wait.
I've kind of given you a hint which day Halloween is on this year.
Oh, it's on Wednesday. Oh, it's on Wednesday.
So next week when we're recording the Halloween special.
Oh, that's insane. Number 3.
So I feel like we should get some Halloween stuff going for next week.
Yes. Oh, we could like get ghost stories and stuff.
Yeah, like conspiracy theories about dead people.
Oh, then we'll tell you all about
All that.
JJ. Let's find that out next week.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's the story
Stay
now.
to come back next week to find out about JJ. Still got that Ouija board.
Okay, so
Anyway, we need to actually get a conversation going.
Do you want to do the subject, say the subject, or should we start that next week when we've prepared a bit more? Because I haven't prepared anything, but I can probably pull something up.
I've not really prepared anything this week, but I'm just looking around my room and I've got a lot of history coursework stuff on my desk. So I'm kind of thinking, is there a way to really spontaneously do?
I can probably do it. I've got revision guides near me. So.
Oh, cool.
Okay, so if you wanna, okay, I'm just gonna look. I'm gonna just flip through psychology.
Like, what I'm gonna do is, if you want me to go first, and then that gives you a chance to get your stuff organised.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell all you lovely boys and girls and everyone in between. I hate the way I said boys and girls. I got halfway through saying boys and girls, and I thought I've told myself before I'm never gonna say the phrase boys and girls.
Guys and gals and non-binary pals. Love that.
I think guys just nicely encompasses the whole because
technically it's
guys,
not, but it is.
Yeah, because I would say like, hey guys, even if I was talking to a room full of girls. So, in my head, guys is everyone, it's not males. But anyway, I'm going to tell all you people about my history coursework, which is very interesting.
Yes.
And it's about women winning. This is kind of
topical because we just talked about Rosa Parks' sexual and women equality for black people. I'm now going to talk about some women fighting for women equality in Britain to get the vote. In case you don't know, they got the vote in February 1918 after World War I, and there's a big argument about how much women working in World War I impacted on them winning the vote in 1918. In case you don't know, World War I began in 1914. Before that, there were two main groups of women fighting for the vote: the NUWSS and the WSPU, or the suffragists and suffragettes. Yeah, but mine has a better question. So mine's better. So, hers doesn't have the war word.
What is the question over the answer will have a word?
Oh, okay. So basically. Anyway, so I've written half of it so far, and the point I've established at the moment is these two groups, no matter how hard they tried, given the situation they were in, just could not win the vote. Because the suffragists were a pacifist group who went around doing protests and making leaflets and speeches and writing letters, which was good, and they got the point across, but they didn't really install it in the public and make it a big thing. Whereas, no, it didn't. Whereas, which then led a group of people to get fed up with this slow approach and say, well, nothing's going on here, what's the point of fighting for this? So they then made the suffragettes, and the suffragettes were led by Emmeline Pankhurst and her kids, and they were fed up with the slow approach, so they decided to take a much more violent one to get in the public eye and to really try and push forward the idea of vote for women. And on one hand, this worked because the public noticed them. However, the public were kind of noticing them for jumping under a horse and killing themselves, not for getting the vote. So while it did get them a lot of attention, it was kind of the wrong kind. And there was no way that the government could suddenly go, yes, let's give you the vote, after these women were burning down buildings and doing all these crazy things which just weren't really acceptable. So these two groups were stuck in a situation where one of them was too pacifist that they couldn't get the point across. But the government was like, yeah, and people did accept them, and the other ones were way too rowdy, and while they did get their point across, their point wasn't one that could be accepted because of the way they were conveying their point. But then the war came along in 1914, and this war changed everything. Both groups stopped their protests, more or less. Some people continued, but I won't talk about that as this has already gone on long enough. It's been more than 50 or 66 seconds, which is kind of bad. Next week we'll introduce 66 seconds. Both groups stopped their protests, and they got behind the war after they realised that there was a greater goal to be achieved here. And David Lloyd George became Prime Minister in 1916, and he'd always been a supporter of votes for women, and he worked closely with Emmeline Pankhurst over the next few years, getting women working, and the amount of women working in especially the munitions industry and in government and in factories shot up radically. I haven't got the statistics right in front of me, but and this did much more than just show we can fight for our country, we can work, but it stopped the militant campaign, which meant these women weren't being violent, they were putting their time into something vitally important, and it meant that the government could then go, yes, we can give you the vote, because they weren't giving to violence, they weren't saying we can't put up with your aggression anymore, just have the vote and go away. They were saying, you worked really goddamn hard for this, you deserve this, the people want you to have this, and they've seen what you can do, and that's why they won the vote in 1918. So ultimately, it wasn't really the direct impact of war work, but it was the collateral damage of war work, not collateral damage, but the knock-on effect of this stopping the militantism, which then meant the government could give women the vote.
And that's me.
That was
insightful.
great.
And I'm quite proud of that, as I did that without actually looking at any of my notes. So.
Well, I'm gonna sit around and read out a book.
Cool.
I take psychology. Sam doesn't. I take history. Oh, this is our Sam.
I take on
But I take psychology. I think psychology is really interesting, whether or not you want to go into it or not. And so this episode, I'm going to talk about conformity, how I can conform to society, to other people, whatever. And the types of conformity and the explanations for conformity. It's not a lot. The first type of conformity is internalisation, which is when a person genuinely accepts the group's norms, and it results in private as well as public change of opinions. And the change is most likely to be permanent and persist in the absence of group members because attitudes have become part of how the person thinks. It's internalised, hence internalisation. The second type of conformity is identification, is when we identify it with the group that we value, we want to come up, and the group that we want to become a part of it. So we publicly change our opinions or behaviour, even if we don't privately agree with everything the group stands for. And then the third one is compliance, which involves going along with others in public, but privately not changing opinions or behaviour. And this results in only a superficial change, and the opinion behaviour stops as soon as the group pressure ceases. And then the explanations for these conformities is informational social influence and normative social influence. Informational social influence is about like a desire to be right. So if we're uncertain about what behaviour or beliefs are right or wrong, so for example, you might not know the answer to a question in class, but if most other students agree, you go along with them because you feel they're probably right because it's like a majority. And then it, sorry, I'm just reading this out of the book.
Having trouble with it.
Informational social influence occurs in situations that are ambiguous, and it's most likely in situations that are new or where there is some ambiguity. So you're not quite sure what's right, and it may happen when decisions have to be made quickly, and when one person in the group is regarded as being an expert of the subject that you're talking about. And the other explanation is normative social influence. It's about norms and a desire to behave like others and not to look like an idiot, basically. And it concerns itself with like quote-unquote normal or typical behaviour for a social group. Norms regulate the behaviour of a group and individuals, so it's not surprising that we pay attention to them. I thought that was something like a cool fact, that's why I said it like that. And NSI, normative social influence, it's an emotional rather than a cognitive process, and people prefer social approval rather than rejection. NSI occurs in unfamiliar situations and with people that you know. So you'd look to other people to know how to behave in this specific situation. And it's important with the people it is important with people you know rather than strangers, because people are concerned about the social approval of your friends and your peers. And it may be more pronounced in stressful situations where people have a need for social support.
That's it.
The call quality just went very bad there.
Wait, really?
Yeah, but everyone else would have heard what you said in those last sentences.
Okay.
Okay, it's fine.
Okay. So we've been going for quite a while, longer than last week.
Yes. Wait, in one of those last sentences, was that a concluding last sentence?
Yeah, I kind of just said that's it. That's
okay,
it.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah. Sorry, I was like, has she finished or has she not? I didn't hear the very end.
I kind of went, yeah, that's it.
Very good. Okay. Yeah, we managed. And I've just suddenly had an idea for another. So next week we can introduce the proper 66 seconds.
So instead of talking for like 5-10 minutes, well, not 10 minutes, but instead of talking for 5 minutes, we'll talk about 66 seconds to set the subject.
Because little clue here, the thing I'm doing next week means I'm going to be spending a lot of time on a train and in a hotel room. So I'm going to have time to plan something next week.
Still confusion?
So, you'll never know. But I had an idea for another segment we could add in, which would be like a versus segment, where each week we'd say statements like Apple versus Samsung, and we'd then have to go on to a mini debate about Apple versus Samsung.
I thought you said Apple versus Samsung for a second. I was like, Apple the fruit versus a phone?
Yes, exactly. Apples or a Samsung phone, which would you rather have? Discuss down in the comments below.
Yeah, so we'll just do it like
yeah.
that. That'd be cool.
Yeah, okay, cool. Well, 37 minutes.
Mm.
We'll be able to enjoy this one.
Okay,
but
do you want to do the outro? Do you want to do it like that? So I do the intro and then you do the outro, and then if you do the intro, I'll do the
and
outro.
then next week, yeah. So wait, what's this? Okay, sorry, I'm looking at my recording thing. Anyway, thank you everyone for listening very much. We appreciate it a lot. We got 3 likes so far.
Yeah, let us know. Let us know if you listened to the first one as well. Comment down below.
Mm-hmm. Let us know if you've listened to this one.
Yeah, as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much for listening, and we will see you all. We won't see you. We won't see or hear you, but you will hear us. We'll not see. Anyway, yeah.
Next Wednesday.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Yeah. Bye. Halloween.
Okay.